So let me tell you, when it comes to ensuring the health and development and success of young people in this city, for me, this is my passion. It is my mission, and for me, this is personal, because my story would not be possible without this city. And that's where I want to start today, by talking about our city and the neighborhoods that make us who we are. It's a city where walking just a few blocks can put you into an entirely different world of experiences. Cut through a park and you go from English to Spanish, black to white, Puerto Rican to Polish. Cross a few streets and you go from historic homes and manicured lawns to abandoned buildings and dark street corners. So the opportunities available to a child growing up in one neighborhood in this city might be vastly different than a child growing up just 5 blocks away. And that difference can shape their lives and their life prospects from the moment they're born. That was certainly the case for me. As Ram said, I was born and raised in South Shore. Our neighbors were teachers and secretaries, city workers, also a few professionals, doctors, lawyers, business owners. Most folks weren't wealthy. A lot of people never went to college, and we generally couldn't afford things like private music lessons or tutoring. But thanks in part to this city, our lives were still rich with opportunities. We had decent public schools. I am a product of our public schools. We attended the Chicago Park District summer camps. Got a lot of ribbons from those camps I'm quite proud of. And back then, our parents knew that if they loved and encouraged us, if they kept us off the streets and out of trouble, then we'd be okay. They knew that if they did everything right, we'd have a chance. But today, for too many families and children in this city, that's simply no longer the case. Today, too many kids in the city are living just a few L stops, sometimes even just a few blocks from shiny skyscrapers and leafy parks and world-class museums and universities, yet all of that might as well be in a different state, even in a different continent, because many of our children have never been to the Art Institute or Millennium Park. Many of them don't even know that the University of Chicago exists, let alone dream of attending that university or any university for that matter. Some of them have probably never even seen the lake. They are consumed with watching their backs. They're afraid to walk alone because they might get jumped. They're afraid to walk in groups because that might identify them as part of a gang and put them at risk. At Harper High School in Inglewood, a newly hired teacher noticed that when classes ended in the afternoon, kids would leave the building and walk right down the middle of the street. One student explained that it's actually safest that way, even with all the cars whizzing by, because it gives them the best view of any fights or shootings. Then they have more time to run. Those are the odds that so many young people are facing in this city. Young people like Hydea Pendleton, whose funeral I attended back in February. She was 15 years old, an honor student at King College Prep. She came from a good family, 2 devoted parents, plenty of cousins, solid godparents and grandparents, an adoring little brother. The Pendletons are hard-working people. They're church-going folks. And Hydea's mother did everything she could for her daughter. And as I visited with the Pendleton family at Hydea's funeral, I couldn't get over how familiar they felt to me. Because what I realized was Hydea's family was just like my family. Hydea Pendleton was me, and I was her. But I got to grow up and go to Princeton and Harvard Law School and have a career and a family and the most blessed life I could ever imagine. And Hydea, just a week after she performed at my husband's inauguration, she went to a park with some friends and got shot in the back because some kid thought she was in a gang. Haidia's family did everything right, but she still didn't have a chance. And that story, the story of Haidia's life and death, we read that story day after day, month after month, year after year in this city and around this country. And those two boys charged with her shooting, this is the violence they were facing as well. And you have to wonder, what if instead of roaming around with guns, boys like them had access to a computer lab or a community center or some decent basketball courts? Maybe everything would have turned out differently. Maybe they would be doing their homework or taking jump shots or learning a new program instead of looking for trouble. Maybe if these kids saw some kind of decent future for themselves instead of shootings, there would just be fistfights, some angry words exchanged. And then maybe, just maybe today, more of our young people would be in classrooms and at jobs instead of in custody, facing even worse odds than they started out with. That what it takes to build strong, successful young people isn't genetics or pedigree or good luck. It's opportunity. And I know from my own experience, I started out with exactly the same aptitude, exactly the same intellectual, emotional capabilities as so many of my peers. And the only thing that separated me from them was that I had a few more advantages than some of them did. I had adults who pushed me. I had activities that engaged me, schools that prepared me to succeed. I had a community that supported me and a neighborhood where I felt safe. And in the end, that was the difference between growing up and becoming a lawyer, a mother, and First Lady of the United States and being shot dead at the age of 15. As you've heard, this fund will help create those ladders of opportunities for all of our kids. It will give our children mentors who push them and nurture them. It will teach them the life skills they need to succeed. It will give them alternatives to gangs and drugs, safe places where they can learn something, stay out of trouble. Because we know that every single child in this city has boundless promise, no matter where they live. And whether we give them the chance to fulfill that promise and grow into productive adults who lead meaningful lives, see, that's on us. That's our job. And I hope that communities across America will follow Chicago's lead to get our young people off the streets and back on track to successful lives. You all know that this is a moral obligation, because ultimately, this city and this community will be judged not just by the beauty of our parks and lakefront or the vitality of our businesses, but by our commitment to our next generation. I think my husband put it best when he spoke to the people of Newtown, Connecticut back in December. And he said, this is a quote, "This is our first task, caring for our children. It's our first job. If we don't get that right, we don't get anything right. That's how, as a society, we will be judged, and by that measure, can we truly say as a nation that we're meeting our obligations?" I want to urge you to come together and do something worthy of Haidia Pendleton's memory and the worthy of our children's future. We need to show them that we believe in them, and we need to give them everything they need to believe in themselves. I would not be here if it weren't for that kind of belief. And I know that together we can do this. So let me tell you this. I look forward to the work that you do. I look forward to you hitting this goal and surpassing it. I look forward to this city being the model of what communities can do to wrap their arms around our youth and make them the best they can be, to embrace all of our neighborhoods and every last one of our children. Thank you so much. Good luck, and God bless.